Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of ERT. And today we're going to talk all about King's Dominion. So King's Dominion, I don't know how to put it. It's not like it's not my favorite park, but it's kind of like I like to call it like my secret favorite park. I don't know, it's slowly been growing on me. The first time we went here was 2016. I thought the park was okay. And then when we came back in 2021, which we came back twice, we went to the normal season and then we came back for their winter event. Technically, we went once in 2022, but we went there a total of like 3 different times during that trip.
Oh yeah, because we spent like a long weekend and we just kept going back.
All right. So, what would you say is one of your favorite things about King's Dominion?
Well, there's two things that instantly come to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is it's a beautiful park. Well, okay, let's just start. You walk in the gate and you have obviously the Eiffel Tower and you have the fountains. And unlike Kings Island, there are trees and bushes and flowers, and it's just really pretty to walk into that park. And then once you get beyond the Eiffel Tower, you have that gorgeous pathway that walks you down into like the back area of the park, and it's all trees and it's magical. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, I would definitely say there's a lot more trees at King's Dominion between King's Island, King's Dominion. So the fountain is actually larger at King's Island, I believe. Like I think it's wider.
Probably.
But there's more trees and whatnot at King's Dominion.
I say it's much more shaded. I don't know. I just feel like it's a park that has grown up. Like there are trees that are mature enough to give you shade and make you feel like you're not in a concrete jungle.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the other thing?
The other thing is their kids area is fantastic.
Yes, I think it's Planet Snoopy, right?
I think so. I mean, is it every Cedar Fair park?
Yeah, like
Planet
Camp
Snoopy?
Snoopy, Planet Snoopy. I'm pretty sure it's
Snoopy.
Planet Snoopy. This is actually a very large Planet Snoopy. And I actually want to put this down as kind of like something I really like and something that I kind of get annoyed. So, first thing about Planet Snoopy, they actually have a lot of unique rides. Like there's this. It looks like bumper cars, but you're supposed to drive it around like it's a normal like track
Well,
for
yeah,
the kids.
the cars are completely free floating. There is no
Free floating.
free floating. They float. They're hover cars.
Free driving, yes.
There's no track. So there's no rules as to where the kids can go in these little cars. They can literally drive I mean, they're supposed to drive the right way on the road. They give you a little like class.
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to be driving. Well, it's like driving school.
Driving
is what they
school
call it.
is
Something
what
like
it's
that.
You're supposed to stop at the stop signs and obviously pay attention. You're not supposed to bump the other cars.
Yes. So there's that. They have observation monorail thing. They have all of your normal, typical flat spinning rides, which is where it kind of gets redundant. But they do have, which we actually haven't done it in a while, is I think it's the Boo Blasters.
Oh, yeah.
In the back section. We did that once back in 2016 and we never did it since.
Maybe in 2023 we'll get our children.
But there's a lot of stuff there. And that's actually what I consider my negative. Because the problem about Planet Snoopy, especially when you go there with kids, once you get into Planet Snoopy, it's very hard to get out of Planet Snoopy. There are so many different rides that technically, if you wanted to, let's say if you as the adult didn't want to ride any rides, you could spend the entire day in Planet Snoopy riding all the well, not all the roller coasters, but all the rides. And obviously they have 2 kiddie coasters in there.
2 coasters, yeah.
I guess, I don't know if the kids would ever get bored, but you could probably spend a good, like, I don't know, 7 hours in there.
It's huge.
Depending how busy the park is.
Do you think it's the biggest kids area of like obviously not talking about Disney parks?
I think Kings Island is a little bit bigger.
Really?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I haven't really added up all the rides or what the park has considered, but they have a lot of rides.
The Kings Dominion, because you have like a top section. What I think of is like the top section, which is where that
it splits
monorail
almost.
is and the driving school. But then you kind of like can drop down into like there's a section that's very treed and
it's around Woodstock
shaded.
Express, yeah.
And there's like a whole nother area of rides.
Yeah, it's like you can do a circle.
And cars, and there's lots of other rides down there.
Yeah, it's like a whole nother like little circle loop you can do down there with. Again, some of it are kind of repetitive of the other rides, but
little kids don't care.
Yeah, there is a lot of attractions in Planet Snoopy. So let's see. The one of my obviously positives, I'll just jump right out there, is their top two roller coasters, Intimidator 305 and Twisted Timbers. I really love Twisted Timbers. It was actually made it into my top 10 roller coasters. I think it's a great RMC. There's a ton of people out there that love Intimidator 305. I think it's a great coaster. It's just it's super intense. So if you're really into it, you're gonna love it. As so for some people, it seems to kind of like not be highly ranked, but it's definitely a very well respected roller coaster. It's one of the most intense roller coasters out there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
However, after those two roller coasters, there's still a couple decent coasters, but there's a lot of like filler coasters in the park.
I mean, every park has a lot of filler coasters.
Yeah, but so I mean, Twisted Timbers was definitely needed, especially with the loss of Volcano the Blast coaster. So that kind of really filled in that other like major coaster niche. So they kind of need. I think if they have one more coaster, like another serious coaster there, I would say they would be threatening with a really solid coaster lineup.
What coaster do you think they're missing?
So, I mean, technically they don't really have an inverted coaster, so that's like one. However, I mean, you have Alpengeist. That's the problem. You have like certain roller coasters that are Busch Gardens Williamsburg, which is like an hour away, which they can kind of consider like their competition. So it's kind of tough to say which coaster they should get there because some of them will kind of collide with what they already have at Busch Gardens.
Think about what is a King's Dominion as itself and what coaster would complete their collection.
An extreme mock ride spinning coaster.
Which is the answer to every park.
I mean, honestly, though, it would fit very well in this park. It'd be another multi-launching roller coaster that would be very unique. I know there was also talk of like that wing coaster, which would be something kind of unique around there.
Is King's Dominion scheduled to get a new coaster?
Well, that was the rumored new coaster, was to be that wing coaster, which was before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And then at the same time, there was also this 4D free spin, which they did get, and it's open.
Well, and because behind that ride, there's like just an area that is...
Which is where the mountain used to be. So they cleared out that whole mountain when they got rid of Volcano the Blast coaster. So it's just this big open space. So yeah, there was plans for this wing coaster, but as far as I understand, that plan was scrapped. So they might go with another wing coaster. But I don't know. I saw King's Dominion posted a picture, was it earlier this week? And they were kind of like reminiscing about the mountain, the volcano or whatever. And it kind of made me wondering if they're actually holding off and planning on building like another like mountain structure, which I think would be pretty neat. Because I know a lot of people, it wasn't even just as much the ride of volcano going away, but the fact that the whole mountain went away. And I know a lot of, for us, it didn't matter because we're not locals, but those who grew up at King's Dominion, that was like, I don't know, like say equivalent at like Kennywood, like removing the kangaroo, you know, something like that, something kind of crazy. So yeah, so that's the roller coasters.
Where do you think they would put the mountain though?
In the same spot. Like I said, they just tore down a mountain right there. They didn't add anything in that spot.
Okay.
It's a big giant, and it goes out farther back.
Well, just too. they re-themed all of that area like really heavily.
But they didn't touch anywhere that mountain is. The mountain's that where the mountain was is just not there.
Yeah.
So they definitely have the space. So what's another positive?
Those were the two that came to mind immediately.
Those two?
Yeah, those two. Obviously Twisted Timbers. Love Twisted
I think
Timbers.
the park is actually pretty well laid out. It's more or less a circle. It's not as like, okay, I hate to keep comparing to Kings Island versus Kings Dominion, but Kings Island, you'd say the park is kind of like lopsided to like the left side, where it technically forms like a circle, but over by like Orion and stuff, you have to walk all the way back down there, and it's like a long ways to get back there. As versus Kings Dominion, it's still a little bit somewhat lopsided because you got to work your way through Planet Snoopy, but it feels a little bit more like a cohesive circle.
The only thing that doesn't feel like it's part of the circle is like Dominator.
Intimidator, you mean? Oh, you mean in the beginning?
Yeah, Dominator feels like, because if you walk down the entrance and you start like through the circle or whatever.
Now, it isn't a dead end though, because you can keep walking past Dominator, and it does take you over to. No, technically, you have to break off the pathway to go to the entrance of Dominator. But you stay on that pathway, it takes you over to the back end by Boo Blasters.
Yeah, it takes you into like the back corner of Planet Snoopy. But I mean, you have to know that you're going over there.
It's kind of like a off the beaten path, but there is technically no dead ends per se in this park.
Intimidator's a dead end.
It is. I guess that is the one dead end.
It is a dead end.
But it's not like a super far dead end as versus like, well, I guess Kings Island doesn't really have, like, especially with like what's that farthest ride once you reach that one corner would be like Windseeker, but you can kind of see it from there, so it's not really a big dead end.
Yeah, I was gonna say that corner is kind of a dead end, but
yeah, somewhat.
I don't
Not like Great Adventure where the whole thing is just like one giant
know.
line.
Line, yeah.
So you can kind of work your way around in the circle. Obviously, the other positive has to be the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, well, sure. The Eiffel Tower is amazing.
I mean, the kids just love going up there and looking around. We obviously like going up there to take photos and shoot video and whatnot. As you can see, plenty of my footage. King's Dominion is probably from the top of the tower.
It's beautiful. Every park should have an observation tower. It's a nice, like, family-friendly attraction. Anybody can do it. So.
And also, I would say the park has a decent variety of attractions besides like the roller coasters. Like there's other things to do, like obviously the Planet Snoopy, but there's also like the antique
I
cars.
say we love the antique cars. We rode those like 100 times the last time we were there.
They have the log flume. There's some random flat rides. There is the Ferris wheel, which I don't think we've actually did it. Every time we're about to do it, something changes and we don't go wait for it.
They have a Ferris wheel? Where is it?
It's on the Midway. It's
It's
over
on
by
the
Racer
Midway.
76.
Why can I not like picture it?
I don't know. It's there. It's not that big, but there's a Ferris wheel there.
I don't think we've ever. I can't even picture where it is. And we were just spent 3
Unless
days
I'm
there.
making it up, I'm pretty sure there's a Ferris wheel right there. But
I
well,
don't
it's
know.
another observation
know.
ride, so we would rather just go up the Eiffel Tower than go on the Ferris wheel. So they also have their water park, which we've never did.
Which we've never
I
done.
think we'll probably do it the next time when we go, but because the kids always been asking to go, we just never end up working it into our plans.
Yeah, even though we spent 3 days there. But we did get rained out the one day. And the other day we were just on our way home, so we couldn't spend that long there.
Another positive about this park may sound kind of silly, but so their parking lot probably needs some patchwork, whatever. Who cares about that? But it's very easy access. They literally have their own ramp off of I-95, and that just takes you right to the one gate. And they have 2 gates. So there's that gate, and then there's I guess the quote unquote main gate, which is off like the road there in town. But I mean, that's pretty nice. You don't have to deal with too much. It's pretty easy. Just go right off that exit, and you just pull right up to the gate.
It's right there. Super easy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about King's Dominion's food?
The last time we were there, I did not like the food.
What did we eat?
Well, technically we went there twice. Okay, so half of my memory is going back to 2021, and I know they had some serious staffing issues.
Okay.
And there was like 2 food stands open. Do you remember that? We had the hardest time finding food. Like the one chicken stand wasn't open, then we had to go over to the next place.
Yes. There were tons of food stands over by like Intimidator that were all closed.
Yeah, like that whole section was closed. Like we were walking forever just trying to find like a drink or something. Or even the food that they had was extremely limited. Like they only had like one item on their menu or something like that.
Okay.
This year it was improved. I just don't remember being like super I mean, it's typical theme park food. I know they have a little bit more variety like around the promenade, or am I making that up? That sounds like really stupid.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
The entrance, the fountain, whatever they call that whole section.
Well, wait, you're saying the promenade?
Yes, that's what I was saying, right?
Oh, I thought you were trying to come up with a name to a restaurant.
No, not the name of the restaurant. I think they have a couple food options there, but it's typical theme park food. Kings Island is starting to step up their food options. They have a lot of variety. I think King's Dominion is behind on that. They need to. And same with Cedar Point. They're really starting to bring in some good variety. I feel like King's Dominion is lacking in that area.
I would say Cedar Point is at the top of the...
food,
we
yes.
like their food.
That's what we totally care about, theme parks. But no, honestly, it kind of is important because... especially if you're going to a few parks, you don't always just want to be eating like chicken tenders and fries, which seems to be like the main option.
Which is what everyone eats.
Old. Yes, it would be nice. Like sometimes it's nice to get like a nice salad.
Well, we did go into that one restaurant in King's Dominion that we got salads.
We did.
And I think the kids got pizza, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
Which it wasn't too bad.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah. So, it's kind of hard because half of my mind is still thinking of 2021 when it was just a disaster with all these places still closed at the restaurants versus 2022 where there's definitely more staffing. The park was a lot more busier, which is good. So, I mean, I feel like the trend is going in the right direction for King's Dominion.
I would say the other thing that we really liked about being there this year was their what do they call it? Jungle Expedition, their new themed area.
Yes.
And they have a show, we caught like the last half of it.
Yeah, they do have a random show. It's kind of like right on the pathway.
It was right on the pathway. But like the section of the show we saw was really amazing, and we wanted
Yeah.
to see it. We had planned to see it the next day, and we got rained out, so we didn't get to see the show.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the show. I don't know.
But that was a really cool new feature.
Yeah, and obviously the 4D coaster, which I always keep calling it wrong. How do you say it?
You're asking me how do you say it?
I thought you were pronouncing it better than I was.
I have
Is
to
it?
like
I thought it was
remember.
like Tumbili or Tumbly or
It's something like that.
yeah. I keep saying it wrong, and everybody keeps getting mad and correcting me. But it actually has decent theming. It's not like it's just a 4D free spin coaster, but I feel like it fits nicely in the park. If you kind of pretend it's more like a thrill ride than like a roller coaster or something, but
Well, it fits really well. The theming that they did around
yeah,
it is really great. It fits really well.
yeah, it's a nice little nice new addition there at the park. So I think it works well.
It feels fresh
Yeah,
and
a nice palate cleanser, hopefully before they get like the big coaster.
the big coast.
Yeah, whatever it might end up being. So we went to their Christmas event.
We did.
And so it's kind of tough to say which one we like better. So we went to King's Dominion and then we went to Busch Gardens to check out their Christmas event
in 2021.
in 2021. So Christmas 2021. We felt that the Busch Gardens was a complete disaster because mostly it was super busy. They had way too many people in there and there was nothing to do because it was a little bit too cold. You couldn't even get into their fest house. It was just complete madhouse, super busy. King's Dominion was still actually pretty well busy, but there was just a lot of stuff to do. There was lots of like flat rides you could go on and do. Unfortunately, Twisted Timbers, it wasn't quite warm enough to open up. Like they were testing it, but they never got it open. They had Dominator open for like 5 minutes, but we opted to run to the back of the park for Twisted Timbers, so we kind of missed out on both.
I would say we missed. That was bad. Unfortunate.
But the lights look great. Obviously, the Eiffel Tower, the ice skating, which is the fountain, turns into the ice skating rink.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, we really want to go check out the Kings Island version. I know they're pretty similar, but yeah, what we experienced at Kings Dominion at Christmas time, I thought it was a fun time. So especially if you go a little bit earlier, there's a couple roller coasters you can ride, some good roller coasters to ride, like Twisted Timbers, obviously.
They had animals and all sorts of different displays you could see. You could go over in Planet Snoopy. They had one of the shops was completely cleared out, and you could go in and you could make crafts.
Oh yeah, they had
with
the
the
arts and
kids.
crafts in there.
And it was really fun, and it got you out of the cold.
Yeah, because it's definitely starting to get cold, but
They had the letter writing to Santa over by Twisted Timbers, which
Yeah.
was really well themed. Like I guess it's a shop, it's a merchandise location.
Yeah.
It's all cleared out, and it's decorated beautifully.
like Santa's workshop or
It's
something
so
like that,
cool.
yeah.
It looks really good.
Or actually, it was supposed to be like the North Pole Post Office. I think
Yes,
that's
it was
what
supposed to be a post
Yeah.
office. So they had lots of different things that you could go in, get out of the cold, and do. Versus Busch Gardens, we felt like everybody was just out on the midways. Nothing was open because it was too cold, and
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So King's Dominion now is officially, they're open all year long, as in they're open on the weekends.
I think so.
Just like Busch Gardens, because that's what Busch Gardens Williamsburg is doing as well. So, which I think is actually pretty interesting. It shows me that they're competing, and also that there's an audience to come and visit them during the more or less off season. I have no idea what's open. I mean, the weather is a little bit warmer down there. It's about so we live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. So I mean, our winters don't get super cold. So it's like what 4.5 hours south of us. So yeah, I don't know. It is interesting that they're doing that all year long with those weekend operations. So be curious to hear how well it goes this year,
Yeah.
because I think this is the first time that they're doing it. I think last year they officially opened at like the end of March on the weekend. So now they're just staying open from January through March. So do we have any other like per se like negative things we want to bring up?
I didn't think of any negative things. I just thought of positive things.
Yeah, I mean we have that's the thing about King's Dominion. We only keep coming up with positive things about this park. Like the truly honestly only negative thing I have is their bottom half their coaster collection could really use some work. Like a lot of it, I feel like it's after like Twisted Timbers, Intimidator, the quality just like drops down. I know some people really like Dominator, but Grizzly isn't good. But it's getting retracked, so hopefully it'll be a decent wooden coaster. Nobody likes Anaconda, though I'm sure there'll be somebody in this video now will say that they love Anaconda, but
Oh, it's
we
so
don't.
bad.
They have and they also have a lot of decent like family rides. Like you got the backlot stunt coaster. Obviously, their two kiddie coasters, including Woodstock Express, which is, I mean, and then you have the Wild Mouse coaster. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Their collection keeps getting better. They keep tweaking things, improving things, making the park look prettier. It's definitely one of my favorite Cedar Fair parks, and it's definitely growing on me.
I think it's a family park to take kids to.
Well,
I think it's
yeah,
a
because of
great
Planet
park.
Snoopy, which is what we said, you can spend a whole day at Planet Snoopy, and if you're with the kids and you're fine with that, you'll be perfectly fine.
But I feel like even though, okay, yes, Planet Snoopy is huge and has a lot of unique rides, but there's still other rides, flat rides that you can take your family on, like the antique cars and the log flume that are spread out
The
throughout the park too.
carousel, as always.
So yeah, you can definitely walk away from Planet Snoopy and still feel like you can do things as a family.
Yeah, you can. Obviously, well, again, that's where Apple's Apple or Wild
Yeah.
Mouse is down
Yeah.
there by Twisted Timbers, and Braylon loves that, and it's like what a 42-inch height requirement, so it's another family coaster. So yeah, that's kind of the other end.
I say I think it's a good balance. It is a
Yeah.
good balance.
So okay, this is not a negative at the park, but the negative of the area. There's hotels right across the street, but I really don't recommend them. We've stayed at I think both of those just because of the convenience. We found some good deals on them, but so yeah, there are other options farther away, but there is also they have that Camp Cedar, which it's I don't know if they actually
they
call
call
it
it
Camp
Camp
Cedar.
Cedar?
It's like part of that. It's like that camping facility. It's like was it like FOA or you know what I'm talking about? You
Yeah,
probably
but
seen
that's
those
not the right.
signs.
That's not the right. Those aren't the right letters.
Well, no, Camp Cedar is what it's called at Kings Island, and
Yes.
then at
They have the similar setup where
yes,
it's in the RV park, but they have like the little tiny
which we
houses.
didn't know that they actually had that. So it's like in association with this other company, and I think it's somewhat new. So I'd be actually curious to see about staying there if you can find some decent rates.
So we loved Camp Cedar at Kings Island.
Yeah, and
So,
obviously the one at Cedar Point too.
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So, I mean, conclusion is we really like Kings Dominion. It's a
like
great
Kings
park. If you haven't been there, definitely go check it out, especially for their top 2, top 3 roller coasters. They're totally worth it. So, yeah, I think next time, maybe not our next ERT episode, but we're going to talk about Kings Island as well, because I know we have a lot to say about that park as well. So, thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe, hit like on this video, and have a great day.